Hi, everybody. You all know me already, but just in case you're watching this and you don't know me yet, my name is Savannah. I'm the Director of Physician Relations for PTTU, and my role is to help you integrate all sorts of ways to connect with your offices to help retain new patients as well as your past patients. And today I want to touch on kind of a fun, more unique topic that plays off of the call that I did the previous time, which was how storytelling is really impactful in building your relationships and connections with patients, with physician offices, or really any referral network that you have, and then within your community. So the topic for today is just like the advanced psychology of connection and of influence, because driving referrals really just isn't about trust and rapport. It's about diving into like what the human connection actually is and how that governs the behavior in the offices and in your referral networks and why they actually decide to send you patients, because it's not just logistics, it's the social dynamics within the office that help them trust you and want to send you patients. So the question, the guiding question through today is just, how can we make it easier and more natural for our referral sources to send patients to PTTU? So to start, referrals are not just operational, of course. We talk about this a lot, but they're relational. Behind every referral is like a moment of human psychology. It's going to be a staff member's decision. It's going to be the physician's trust in sending that patient to you. And then it's going to be also the patient's readiness, which can also kind of be a barrier sometimes in wanting to get patients started. So today we're going to just like unpack how offices can connect with us. So PTTU isn't just convenient. Like we hone in a lot on convenience because that's really one of the number one picks as far as what we do besides being communal based and like an individual practice, individual practitioners. But we want it to be like that emotionally like inevitable choice because they fall in love with you and they love the idea of you seeing their patients. So the first sector of this that we're going to discuss is just logic. Logic, of course, plays a huge role in where they're deciding to send their patients because physicians are going to ask two questions. Does this service make sense for my patient? And does it reduce my workload? Luckily, our answer for those two questions, really anything in the outpatient therapy realm, unless this patient really needs to go into a facility, I mean, both of those questions are going to have an unequivocal yes. Yes, it reduces your workload. All we need is a script and the demographics, and we'll handle everything else for the patient. And does it make sense for the patient? Well, 9.9 times out of 10, yes. If anything, we're providing a higher level of care with the individuality aspect of what we're doing. The second part of it is just trust. Of course, trust plays a huge role in this. Staff is always going to ask themselves before they send you a referral, do I feel good recommending PT to you? Like, does this decision come feeling naturally? Are they apprehensive sending you their first patient or second or third patient? Has everything been really smooth or did it feel transactional? So feeling good is an emotional connection to you as an individual and wanting to send you patients. And the second part of that is, of course, do they trust that you're going to provide great care to them? It's one thing to be able to say, yes, we're going to provide great care, but another really big win and what we love to drive home and what we do is that the normal person telling them that they're going to provide care is someone like me who's not a clinician. But when it's coming from you, it's going to have a lot more weight to it and tone to it, where it's going to build a level of trust a lot more efficiently and quickly than it will for someone like me to build that connection and relationship. And so besides like logic and trust, the third part is just a sense of belonging. Might be kind of more of an unconscious thing, but it's like, does PT to you feel like a part of our team? When I go to refer to them, do I feel like I know Janet? Do I feel like I know Becca when I'm sending them a patient? And does it make them look good? Because of course, at the end of the day, all these offices are trying to pick providers that their patients aren't going to call and complain. Of course, that literally never happens with us. So whoop whoop, love that. And then does it make them look good? Like does it make them feel empowered by sending you patients? And are they going to go back to the practitioner and say, oh my gosh, my therapist was amazing. I love PT to you. That's why we really hit home. Like it's not just telling your patients, oh, tell your doctor about me. Like, let them know I did a great job, because they're going to be looking for other patients that need a service like this. And they're going to pick somebody like me to take care of them. And then you're helping somebody else at the end of the day. You're helping another patient, you're helping another family live a healthier and a better lifestyle just by you having the courage to say, recommend me. Like, if you're doing a good job, share the good news. I think that's a really good piece to the puzzle here. So we're gonna use, like I wrote up basically kind of a guide into how to use these principles into like creating your strategy when you're going into these offices. And I think as you go, you really do use a lot of this naturally. But maybe there's going to be something that I say or pick that you're like, oh, you know what, I can do a better job, or I can weave that in a little bit more effectively. So the first part, and we talked about this already in the trust aspect, but it has to feel easy because people choose what feels effortless. So simple referral processes make things feel automatic. It makes it feel really easy. If they have your ordering pad, they know all they have to do is send that order sheet over to us, and we can even call the patient and collect the rest of the information. Like, if you don't want to be a burden on the office, don't even ask them for the demos. We call the patient, we introduce ourselves, we can collect all the demos from the patient. So that referral sheet has the bulk of the information that we need, at least to get in touch with that patient and get them started. After that, it's going to be the emotional connection. So the way that you show up to whatever referral avenue, whether it's a home care agency, whether it's a nurse practitioner that works in a facility, whether it's an office staff member, the way you show up with your warmth, with your energy, and with your confidence is going to convey a message to that office. And so you want that message to be obviously, pick me. And then the staff is going to mirror that as well. So it's mirroring is kind of a hard technique because you're wanting to mirror the person that you're speaking to, but you're also wanting to mirror what you want back from that person and what you want back from that relationship, really. So present yourself always with warmth, with kindness, but also with intelligence and with integrity, and using those things and being so unwavering and so laser focused and in who you are and how you present yourself to those offices. They're going to see an emotional connection and then also like an alignment to you. So physicians, just like we do, and why we all decided to do this, we want to be seen as leaders, and we are leaders, which is why you took the leap of faith to be your own business owner. And when we position PTTU as like enhancing their authority, like your doctor chose the best option for you, it's going to strengthen that physician or that nurse practitioner or PA's identity. And when they go back again, that kind of weaves in that whole network of like building a relationship with the office. After that, we're gonna like go through so commitment and consistency. Once the office tries you for the first time, they're so much more likely to repeat that action, and the referral pattern is going to be affirmed by you doing a good job and being consistent in what your follow-up strategy looks like. Going back in, your patient loved it. I love Mrs. Smith. She's the cutest. When we go and see her, she always shows me the new knitting project she's working on. Last time I saw her, she was really struggling with reaching into her cabinet to get those supplies. So that was something in action we were able to discuss. We practiced getting in and out of her car together. I can't wait for her to feel confident in coming back into your office the next time. And even in just like hearing that, it makes you excited because you just want to help that patient. And then when you build in that emotional connection to who that person is as an individual, because a lot of the times, like, yes, the doctors know that, but they've got like most of the time 15 minutes max with the patient. Unless it's a concierge office, they might have an hour with that patient. And so they're kind of missing out on those little things that you get to see when you're in the home with them that become so much more intimate and special. And to be able to relay that and convey that in a way that you recognize that and you're building off of that, it enhances the relationship to the office and their commitment to sending you patients. And then weaving in the topic we talked about last time, just overall like the narrative of the stories you're building and what you're conveying. As humans, we think in stories. I mean, some of us are more on the statistical side. And yes, statistics like 95% of hip fractures are from falls. Yes, all of that stuff is impactful, but what's so much more impactful is you telling the story. And even if it's just a single success story about their patient or another patient you're working with or just worked with, it's going to outweigh any chart of outcomes unless the doctor is very nerdy and enjoys that kind of context. And then in that case, obviously your marketing strategy would be slightly different. You're going to want to bring in the way that you treat patients, your protocols, articles, anything that kind of shows you as the expert in this space. So far, so good. Questions, comments?
Sounds good so far.
Cool. Love it.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, I love this topic because it kind of just it simplifies building a connection with somebody in a way it's so much more digestible. We need to align. We need to have some type of emotional connection. We need to have stories. We need to be committed and we need to be consistent. Those are all things that everybody can do, whether you're number one marketer or whether this is going to be your first time going into an office. So the last part that I wanted to add in for this topic is just strategies for a deep connection and what does that look like. So we'll start with physicians or with referring providers, home care agencies in general. We want to speak, of course, to efficiency of our services and outcomes because at the end of the day, they're wanting this patient to get on and off of services as not necessarily as quickly as possible, but as efficiently as possible, because quick is sometimes not efficient, as we know. Sometimes patients, our stroke patients, our total knee patients, anybody, our Parkinson's, our neuro patients are going to require a level of ongoing treatment. But if you can speak to the outcome of the visit and that story again and weaving in what you did during that session and just sharing that, sometimes that's going to be the reason that you get to actually talk to the provider instead of somebody that's kind of blockading them. And with home care agencies, this is kind of like a weaving outside of the physician space, but you being able to confidently tell a therapist, thank you so much for sending me that patient from Part A. I was able to, get them to the finish line. They're doing great. And they're so excited that they had both of us as a team together. We're going to reach back out to them in a couple of months. And if they need services, I'll make sure that you're the first person to get to see that patient again. So you're building again that full circle referral network and you're protecting the patient's time while enhancing their results. So those are important things. The second part for building deep connection is just like reflecting the physician's authority. When you refer to PTTU, it reinforces your role as the patient and the provider's trusted like leader and advocate for the patient. Next is with staff. So with staff, we always want to affirm their value because they a lot of the times are the patient's guide over the physician. The physician is writing up the script and then they're handing it to an ancillary staff member to send out. And when the staff member is the patient's guide, you have to be the one that makes the leap to connect to the full team, not just one person or not just the person you maybe get along with the most, but trying to build that connection with everybody within that space. And when you also tell them that you're giving them a faster a faster way to heal. So that's another important thing too. The doctors don't want to send a patient somewhere that they're like, yeah, I didn't really have a good experience. I don't feel like I'm getting any better. What am I going to do now? That's something that they deal with kind of on a regular basis when they're sending to providers that are subpar. And I think for us, if you run into a scenario where you have a patient that you've had for maybe a month and they're just stagnant, they're not making any progress yet, but maybe you see that they're going to make progress, but it's something that has a longer trajectory on what that progress looks like, then you're going to want to voice that. Because if you don't voice it, they're just maybe the patient gives up and says, I don't know, I don't think this is working. And then you're going into the office saying, well, the patient just decided to be discharged and they didn't really feel like it was working too well. Instead, you can say, we're a month in, we've built some really good movement patterns. I like where this is going. I need the patient to stay committed. I'm telling them to stay committed. And I think within the next 3 months, we're going to see this patient doing pretty significantly better. Let's just stick with with the protocol, what we have in place. How do you feel about that? And then bringing them into that conversation so that they're a part of it too. And you're building not only the trust, but like a frictionless experience with the patient coming to you and things not always being rainbows and butterflies. So, with that simplicity in your script and how you're voicing it to the office and weaving in the person that you actually need to talk to, which could be the physician or could be the referral coordinator in that conversation. So we discussed like strategies for physicians, we discussed strategies for staff, and then the last part, of course, is with our patients and with our patients through the office. So we want to be able to easily normalize the choice of patients using us because patients are being thrown recommendations from their facilities, from their neighbors, but they're pretty much going to lean into whatever the doctor tells them, unless they're coming to you because they said, "Oh, my neighbor told me about you. They said you're amazing, and how do I get an order to go to you?" So that of course is going to be a different referral avenue. But if the office or the provider can say with confidence, lots of our patients use them. They come to your home, they do a great job. Like inadvertently give them things that they can say to the patients that will instill the confidence in you coming out to their house. Because sometimes they're gonna be like, I don't know. I don't know if I want someone to come into my house. I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. I don't know them yet, and X, Y, and Z. So give them ways. I've met the therapist. He's incredible. He's gonna come out to your house and he's gonna help you with a fall risk assessment in your home to make sure everything is comfortable and you feel confident moving around. So that way you never have to go to an ALF or an ILF. Or if it's a patient that's in an ALF and an ILF, great. Well, we don't want them to go to memory care, you know? So just always digging into like the reason behind what you're doing and giving not only the patients, but other staff members ways to provide trust in how you're doing it. So I guess just to recap our messaging for today, connections thrive pretty much at three very important and integral levels. It's going to be logic, like the yes, I trust them, I want to do this, the trust, and then the identity behind PTTU. PTTU has a super cool swaggy logo, but who is PTTU? PTTU is the individual. It is you as an individual provider and the messaging and the trust that you convey to your patients and providers and really bringing that in full circle and making it a team. Like anytime you're walking into an office or in a patient's room, a patient's home, you want it to feel like you're like in the huddle, like you have your arms around them and you're like, okay, doc, this is what we're going to do. Okay, Mrs. Smith, this is what we're going to do. Break, let's do this. And in that way, you're building something that really does feel like a full circle, a full like emotional and intellectual connection with the patient and whoever that provider is. And in doing that, it builds so much more than just they know about you and they know about the kind of patients you see and what your interests are, but they know about you and your integrity. And when they know about your integrity and how you treat patients and how you take care of people, that is unwavering. And that will build a level of trust that it doesn't go anywhere because once you've got it locked in, it's a pattern, it stays, they're comfortable with it, and you're going to keep seeing those patients. So go on, take the world on today. Have an amazing day. And thanks for hopping on